Hey everyone, welcome back. Today is going to be day 2 of our review, and you can see from the title of the lesson we are going to be solving by using square roots. Okay, and we did this 2 days before break, and so hopefully this does look familiar, but in case it doesn't, or if you just want a quick refresher, that's what this is here for. So you can see that there's a grand total of 12 problems, all right? 6 of each type. Some of them are basic square root problems. We got 6 of those, and then we're going to have 6 more advanced square root problems. So basically what we'll do is this. I'm going to do 2 from each section, just as that little bit of a review, and then it'll be on you to do all of the remaining problems, as well as the ones that we go over together. As soon as you are done with that, you'll submit it to Schoology, and you'll be done for the day. Okay? So our first example here is as basic as we can get. X squared equals 49. So remember that x squared just simply means x times x, or some number times itself is equal to 49. So what we want to be thinking about is what number times itself is 49. We also have the option of taking the square root. If we want to get x by itself, we square root the x squared, and if we do that to the left side, we do that to the right side as well. Now, a very common mistake that'll get made is students will say x equals 7, and they will move on to the next question. Now, x equals 7 isn't completely incorrect, but it's not completely correct either. If you remember, when we take the square root of a number, we have to take into consideration the negative option as well. Because yes, although 7 times 7 equals 49, negative 7 times negative 7, so negative 7 times itself, is also a positive 49, since a negative times a negative is a positive. So if we just have 7 as our answer, it's not completely wrong, but it's not completely right either. So our final answer should be x equals, we learn this symbol, plus or minus 7. Okay, so we do that again just by taking the square root. Most of us should know that already. The one big thing we want to make sure we remember is that plus or minus symbol. Okay, so now if we just take it one step further, we take a look at question 2. 3x squared minus 6 equals 69. Again, the goal is to get x by itself. So the first thing we do is we move anything without an x to the other side of the equal sign. So we're going to add this 6 to both sides. When we do that, the 3x squared comes down. The minus 6 and the plus 6 becomes 0. 69 plus 6 is 75. So now we have 3x squared equals 75. At this point, we're going to just pretend if that squared wasn't there. If this was just 3x equals 75, we would divide both sides by 3. Now that squared really is there, but it's okay. It's not going to change how we solve. Divide both sides by 3 to get the x squared by itself. 75 divided by 3 is 25. And now x squared equals 25. We take that square root once we get x squared by itself. The square root of 25, x equals plus or minus 5. Okay, so hopefully that was a good refresher on those types of problems. Questions 3 through 6 you'll be responsible for doing on your own and getting that submitted. We'll scroll down to 7 and 8. We'll work on these together. These are our more advanced square root problems. So in this case, it's not just x squared, it's x plus 6 squared. So x plus 6 times another x plus 6 equals 9. So when we had a problem like this, we had to do a little bit extra work. We have the x plus 6 squared. We have the 9 on the other side. We're still going to start by taking a square root. We have the x plus 6 squared by itself. The squared term is by itself. So I'm going to start by taking the square root of both sides. When I do that, the square root and the square cancel out, and we're left with just the x plus 6. On the other side of the equation, the square root of 9, as we just discussed, is plus or minus 3. Okay? So we take the square root of both sides to get rid of the square, x plus 6 equals plus or minus 3. Now the last step is just like it would be if we were solving a regular algebraic equation. We're going to subtract 6 from both sides. And if you remember, the way we did that, the x comes down, and we put this negative 6 in front of the plus or minus symbol. Negative 6 plus or minus 3. We're going to have two answers here. The first answer comes from what do we get when we do negative 6 plus 3? Well, negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. So that's one of my answers. The second answer comes from what if we do the negative 6 minus 3? Negative 6 minus 3 is negative 9. And that is my other answer. So in this case, my two answers are negative 3 and negative 9. We could always double check that by plugging those back in. Okay. If I have negative 3 plus 6, that comes out to be 3. 3 squared is 9, and that's what we had in the original problem. Okay. Likewise, if we plugged in that negative 9 instead, negative 9 plus 6, well, that's negative 3, but negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9 again. Okay, so we know that that checks out. Let's take a look at one more. X minus 3 squared equals 144. So again, we'll take the square root of both sides. This will cancel out the square on the left, and we're just left with the x minus 3. The square root of 144 is plus or minus 12. From here, we are going to add the 3 to get x by itself, and x equals 3 plus or minus 12. Lastly, we split that up into the two different cases. 3 plus 12, 3 minus 12. 3 plus 12 is 15. 3 minus 12 is negative 9. And those are our two final answers, negative 15 and negative 9. Okay? So if you still have any questions or concerns at this point, please, please, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. You can send me a message through Schoology, or you can email me, and I will get back to you as fast as I can. If you're good to go ahead and get that done and get it submitted to Schoology, and you'll be done with Algebra 1 for the day. Thanks for watching. Take care and be well, and we'll